Ladies and gentlemen, there is something inside you, something ancient, something restless, something powerful. It wakes you up at night with ideas you didn't ask for. It whispers when the world is quiet. It burns when you feel stuck, and it explodes when you feel alive. That something is creative energy. Now, let me be clear from the very beginning. Creative energy is not reserved for artists, musicians, or writers. It is not limited to those who paint canvases or compose symphonies. It lives in the entrepreneur building a business from nothing. It lives in the parent raising a child with love and intention. It lives in the worker finding a better way to solve a problem. Creative energy is not what you do. It's how you exist. And today, I want to talk about that force, how it shapes our lives, how we suppress it, how we can reclaim it, and why it might just be the most important resource we have in this modern world. 1. The birth of creative energy. Think about a child. A child doesn't ask, "Am I good enough to draw this?" A child doesn't say, "What will people think of my idea?" A child simply creates. They build worlds out of nothing. They imagine stories that defy logic. They turn cardboard into castles and silence into songs. Why? Because they are connected fully and fearlessly to their creative energy. But somewhere along the way, something changes. We begin to hear words like "be realistic." That's not practical. You should follow a safer path. And slowly, quietly, we start to disconnect. Not because we lose our creativity, but because we learn to fear it. And that's not for 2. The cost of suppressing creativity. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt exhausted, even when you didn't do much? Have you ever felt stuck, like you're moving through life but not really living? That's not just fatigue. That's not just stress. That might be suppressed creative energy. Because creative energy, when ignored, doesn't disappear. It turns inward. It becomes frustration. It becomes anxiety. It becomes that quiet voice inside you that says, "This isn't the life I imagined." In America today, we celebrate productivity. We celebrate efficiency. We celebrate measurable success. But we rarely ask, at what cost? What happens when a society values output more than expression? What happens when people are taught to perform, but not to create? We end up with people who are successful on paper, but empty inside. Number 3, creative energy is not optional. Here's the truth that many people don't want to hear. Creative energy is not a luxury. It is not something you indulge in after work or on weekends. It is essential. It is as vital as oxygen to your sense of purpose. Because creative energy is how you solve problems, adapt to change, find meaning in chaos, build something that didn't exist before. Without it, you don't just lose inspiration, you lose direction. 4, the fear that blocks us. So if creative energy is so powerful, why do we resist it? The answer is simple: fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, fear of starting and not finishing. But there's another fear, one that's even deeper. It's the fear of being seen, because when you create something, you reveal something about yourself, your ideas, your emotions, your perspective, and that vulnerability, that exposure, is terrifying. So instead, we play it safe. We follow paths that have already been walked. We repeat ideas that have already been accepted. We become copies instead of creators. Number 5, reconnecting with your creative energy. But here's the good news. Creative energy never truly leaves you. It waits. It waits in your curiosity. It waits in your boredom. It waits in those moments when you feel the urge to try something new. So how do you reconnect with it? Not by forcing it, not by chasing perfection, but by giving yourself permission. Permission to be messy, be imperfect, be experimental, be wrong. Because creativity does not thrive in control, it thrives in freedom. Nasher 6, the power of small acts of creation. You don't need to quit your job to be creative. You don't need to make a masterpiece. Start small. Write a page, sketch an idea, try something different, ask a new question. Creative energy grows through action. Not someday, not when you're ready, but now. Because every small act of creation sends a message to your mind. I am allowed to explore. I am allowed to express. I am allowed to create. Creativity and courage. Let's talk about courage. Not the kind of courage you see in movies, but the quiet, everyday courage of showing up as yourself. Creative energy demands courage. It asks you to share your ideas before they're perfect, take risks without guarantees, stand out in a world that rewards fitting in. And that's uncomfortable. But here's the paradox. The more you embrace that discomfort, the more alive you feel. 8. The ripple effect of creative energy. When one person reconnects with their creative energy, something incredible happens. It spreads. It inspires others to think differently, act boldly, create freely. Creative energy is contagious. It transforms workplaces. It transforms communities. It transforms entire cultures. And in a country like the United States, built on innovation, risk-taking, and bold ideas, creative energy is not just valuable, it is foundational. 9. The responsibility of creation. But with creative energy comes responsibility. Because what you create matters. Your ideas can build or destroy, inspire or divide, heal or harm. So the question is not just, what can I create?